What is poppin', YouTube? Back again with another video. Today we are talking about my top 5 quarterback buys in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Let's go. My first quarterback buy for Dynasty Fantasy Football is going to be Deshaun Watson. Pervy Watson comes off of his horrible off-field incident to come back for the Cleveland Browns this last year and absolutely puts up an absolute poop show. As we like to say, the Cleveland Browns only win the Super Bowl when you go number 2. Well, that is exactly what Deshaun Watson did this last season, where Deshaun Watson put up 15.1 fantasy points per game compared to in the previous years, 2020. He was the QB5 on a fantasy points per game basis with 23.5. The year before that, 22 fantasy points per game, put him as the QB2. Deshaun Watson, previous to this season, you would find him in the top 5 fantasy points per game, was a super solid contributor to your Dynasty Fantasy Football roster. Well, what happened? A lot of people will say, well, he wasn't able to get the playbook down. He wasn't able to get in sync with his wide receivers. The Cleveland Browns offense really started to stall the moment that Deshaun Watson got onto the field. Now, we were able to see him scramble. We were able to see a little bit of that scrambling ability that we do know that Deshaun Watson possesses. But how can we see that going up into this next season? I am banking on the fact that the one season is an outlier. If we look, like I said, 24.7, 21.3, 22, 23.5 compared to the 15.1 fantasy points per game. Which of those is the outlier? The 15.1. So can he get back into that 22 fantasy points per game range? I think he can, especially as the Browns continue to add weapons around him. They bring in Elijah Moore. They draft Cedric Tillman. They really added to the offensive line as well. Deshaun Watson is my first quarterback buy, whether you agree with Pervy Watson or not, and his off-field choices. He is going to be a solid quarterback for Dynasty Fantasy Football. So I'm totally buying him at his QB10 prices on Keep Trade Cut. When you're having to decide between Bryce Young and Deshaun Watson, come on, give me the guy that has put up elite fantasy football upside, not the guy that's just a rookie coming in that we're all hoping can turn into Deshaun Watson. My second player that I'm buying in Dynasty is Tua Tagovailoa. Now, the concussions are a concern. We are concerned about his concussions. We are concerned about his longevity and whether he can be the quarterback of the future for the Miami Dolphins. But when he was on the field this season, 18.4 fantasy points per game, put him as the QB9. Now, he only played 13 games. Now, if we look, he's going into year 4. We are a little bit worried about durability issues. 10 games played 2020, 13 games played 2021. 13 games played 2022. His yards per attempt went up this last season, 8.9. We can probably attribute that to Tyreek Hill. But why am I buying into Tua Tagovailoa? I think the price is the part that I am super excited about with Tua. When we're looking directly at Tua, we're talking about the QB15 in Dynasty. And right now, especially with all these rookies coming in, it's kind of pushed Tua down the board. So we are talking about an early 2025 first, a mid 2023 first is what you're going to have to trade for Tua, because he's going right now behind Bryce Young. He's going behind CJ Stroud. He's going behind Anthony Richardson. If you haven't done your rookie drafts and or you're looking to trade for the future, if you're looking at, you have a mid 24 pick or you have a mid 23 pick and you definitely need quarterback help, Tua seems like a very good option that you could have, because to be completely honest, I have a pretty big tier gap between Tua and Daniel Jones. Now, a lot of people are a lot higher on Daniel Jones. I think Tua is a great dynasty buy candidate coming into with what's happened with these quarterbacks coming into the NFL, pushing him down the board for really no reason. He does have the concussion concerns, but I'm buying all the Tua that I can currently right now. The third quarterback I'm buying a whole lot of is Jordan Love. Jordan Love's going to be the starter for the Green Bay Packers. And if you were like me, you drafted Jordan Love a year ago, 2 years ago, in the 11th, 12th round of your startup for this exact moment to happen in Dynasty, where Jordan Love has all of a sudden shot up to the QB 17 in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Now, I was saying before the rookies got into the class that Jordan Love was my QB 15. With some of these rookies coming in, he's now been pushed down to the QB 17, which is where he is on Keep Trade Cut. I think Keep Trade Cut appropriately has him valued as a 70th overall player in Superflex leagues, but also the QB 17. Now, who are some quarterbacks that I'm taking Jordan Love over currently right now? Kenny Pickett, Jared Goff. Those are all guys that I am trying to trade for Jordan Love, because like we said, we've seen the scrambling upside. He runs a 4.8 40. Now, is he going to be Aaron Rodgers? That question I cannot answer. But I don't care if he's Aaron Rodgers as long as he's good for fantasy football. Now, a lot of people are critiquing, saying he's not good for fantasy football. Well, look at what the Green Bay Packers did this offseason. They have surrounded him with weapons, and that is why I am buying Jordan Love everywhere that I can. That I need a QB2. That I need a high upside QB3, because Jordan Love could definitely help you, especially if you're trying to contend. Getting that question mark of a quarterback where he could turn into something very great, or he could just be an average quarterback. But at the end of the day, if you can get him as your QB3 and he's just sitting on the bench riding the pine until something happens to your starter or it's a bye week, great deal of trying to get Jordan Love there. My fourth player that I'm buying everywhere is Trey Lance. You've known me on the channel. I've been a Trey Lance believer, and it's not looking hot for Trey Lance. A lot of us Trey Lance believers, we're all falling off the bandwagon. So if someone is there caught holding the bag on Trey Lance, I am willing to go help relieve them of this stock. I'll be honest, I don't think his value on keep trade cut has fallen to the level that it should be. We currently still have Trey Lance as the QB 20. We got guys like Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, Brock Purdy all behind him. If I had Brock Purdy and I could go offer that for Trey Lance, I'm doing that because I think the upside with Trey Lance is so much greater than Brock Purdy, especially when we're talking about fantasy football. I'm not talking about whether Brock Purdy is going to be a better quarterback that can lead the San Francisco 49ers to a championship. So if I had Brock Purdy, if I had Derek Carr, those would all be guys that I'm currently offering up for Trey Lance. Now there's some guys behind him like a Geno Smith, a Kirk Cousins, a Russell Wilson. I cannot get myself to offer those guys knowing the contract situations, knowing that they are cemented in as starters, because right now Trey Lance is kind of like a penny stock where he's right now, it feels like he's at his floor, but it could go lower, but it also could go way higher. So if you are buying into Trey Lance, I do feel like this is a great time to do it, but just know you might get caught holding the bag and you got to be fine with that. My final quarterback buy is going to be Ryan Tannehill. Now Ryan Tannehill, Tennessee Titans, Will Levis comes in, Malik Willis is still there, and a lot of people are saying, well, Ryan Tannehill, the offense isn't going to be that good, Caleb. He's currently the QB 35 in Dynasty Fantasy Football, according to Keep Trade Cut. He is 34 years old. Ryan Tannehill is just a pure value at this point. You are trading a mid-second round pick to get a starter who could be the QB 3 and step in, or even be a very solid QB 2 option this season for Dynasty Fantasy Football. I don't know why all of a sudden we're talking like we're taking Jimmy G over Ryan Tannehill in startups when Jimmy G clearly might not even be healthy, but we're just letting Ryan Tannehill slip because we're like, oh, like he wasn't that great this last season. Well, the reason he wasn't great, didn't play in all the games. Well, Treylon Burks was injured for most of the season. They got rid of AJ Brown. Who was he supposed to throw it to? I mean, Robert Woods was coming off an ACL injury. For me, now having all the weapons, we got Treylon Burks, we got Chig, we got Derrick Henry. I don't love the Titans offense. I do think they are going to start tanking. They're going to have to go through this rebuilding period. But for me, Ryan Tannehill has proven they can be a very solid quarterback too. He even has high-end QB2 upside on a week-to-week basis. So why are we taking any of these other quarterbacks or even these late second-round picks over a guy that could definitely help you on your title run in your Dynasty Fantasy Football League? If you wouldn't mind, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Best free way to support the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.